Let's go then to Simon Hill from Exeter City Council, who's one of those responsible for trying to keep the bin collections going, certainly in that part of Devon. What's the situation where you are at the moment, Simon?
Good afternoon, Michael. Currently, throughout Devon, we are actually managing to carry out all our scheduled recycling and rubbish collections as normal. Garden waste, 2 or 3 parts of Devon have experienced some temporary disruption where it's had to be suspended. But overall, our bin crews are actually doing a very good job of maintaining the scheduled services.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Well, I don't live in the Exeter area. I live in the Teignbridge area, and I think last week I was due to get my garden waste bin collected, and it was about 3 days late. But do you know what? I thought, thank you very much. I wasn't sure it'd get collected at all. I think I'm imagining, by and large, people are grateful for what they can get at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had some lovely feedback from our residents. Some of our crews have reported people putting up thank you signs in the window and clapping as the bin lorry goes past. Some of our crews have had Easter eggs left out for them and some really nice messages on social media. So, yes, I think our public do really appreciate the effort that's gone into keeping this service running.
What about demand for the service? Are you seeing any increase in demand? I asked the question because last weekend we thought, we could clean the shed out. We've got a bit of time. Can't go anywhere. Let's clean the shed out. And we started to do it and then thought, actually, we can't because a lot of this stuff needs to go to the recycling centre. And, of course, we can't go to the recycling centre. So I guess that prompts me to wonder whether people are putting more in the bins.
Yes, we're finding across Devon up to 20% more waste is being collected on our recycling and refuse rounds. It's to be expected because people are spending nearly all their time at home, so they're consuming more stuff at home, so it's understandable. However, if you're stuck at home, it's tempting to do a DIY project or have a big clear out, which does create a lot of extra waste. So one thing people can do to help our crews is to think about do they really need to put everything out at once, particularly things like bulky items and DIY waste, which they could hang on to, just so that the crews get a chance to complete all their collection rounds and can handle that. That would be really helpful.
And what about the crews? Are you losing many to sickness at the moment, or people who are self-isolating perhaps because they're concerned about someone else in the family?
We're finding that where people do need to self-isolate, they are doing so responsibly, and it's a steady stream of people self-isolating and then coming back to work. In some cases, it's making it a challenge to have enough crew members to go out and actually collect. So, as you say, in certain parts of Devon last week, garden waste bins were delayed by about 3 days until enough crew members could be found. What the councils are doing, though, is where we've got people at home self-isolating, we are making up the shortfall by redeploying other employees. For example, street cleaning staff, they're coming over to our bin crews. We're also making use of employment agencies to provide temporary labour. And what we're finding is both the regular crews and the redeployed staff are working really well and keeping the service running, even though they're picking up more material and actually getting the job done most of the time on the scheduled day.
A few texts coming in already this afternoon. What have we got here? This is from Jay in Kingsbridge, who says, big thanks to the South Hams operative, still collecting and fixing a broken lid. Going to be lots of green waste because we're all outside gardening. Well, as we were saying just a moment ago, you'll collect that as much as you can, I guess. Val in Plymouth, appreciate this isn't all your area, Simon, but this is people working in your line of business right across the county. What have we got here? Val in Plymouth says, bin men being today wonderful. She says, so that's more praise from there. Don't forget to shout out for the local posties. They are at risk delivering your parcels and letters as well, says Melanie. Melanie, yeah, absolutely. Postal workers as well. What about keeping your crews safe, Simon? We did get one call from someone who says he saw the bin lorry going up the road and there were 3 of them sitting abreast across the front of the cab. They're certainly not 2 metres apart, are they?
No, all the councils in Devon are following the safety guidance that was issued last week by the Waste Industries Safety and Health Forum. So it's not always possible to maintain a 2-metre distance between crews, but there is a lot we can do to protect them. First of all, we make sure they've all got appropriate hygiene equipment like gloves. access to hand washing facilities several times throughout the day. Very importantly also, we try to minimise the kind of mixing between different crew members. So we try and keep the same crew members together day after day so that people aren't coming into contact with lots of people. And wherever possible, the support staff are working from home so the bin crews don't come into contact with too many people. And maintaining hygiene and also wiping down the surfaces of the vehicles like door handles and steering wheels as often as required. All the crews have been reminded to do that. They are all acting responsibly. So there's a lot we're doing to minimise the risk, but obviously you can't maintain 2 metres at all times and still get this essential job done.
Here's a controversial one. You may not thank me for asking this. Would you like it ideally if you could get hold of testing kits so you can test these people maybe once a week, make sure they're clear?
We'll follow the government guidance on testing. We know that the big priority with the amount of testing capacity available is to look after the NHS staff who are at the highest risk because they are dealing with infected people day after day. So they've got to be the priority. With our waste collection crews, the levels of absence we're getting are probably typical of the population. We're not experiencing a surge. And also, where somebody does report symptoms, one of the things we do is we remove them from the workforce and send them home as soon as possible. And we're quite pleased that our own crews they're behaving responsibly in that respect. So they are reporting any issues. So yes, it would be lovely if we could test everybody, but we've got to be, I think, realistic about the capacity to do that and really prioritise the NHS workers for that.
Got to live in the real world, I think, is probably the answer, isn't it? Well, there's a lot of love for what your crews are doing, Simon, and those across Devon as well. Thank you so much for your time this lunchtime. Really appreciate it.
OK.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Simon Hill from Exeter City Council.